Hi, America.
Hi, America. Welcome to Angel in the Wind.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. A special show this week. Oh, wait. Salute.
Special show.
A special show. This week, the word of the week is parent.
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 Something I know very little about.
Well, we're going to talk about the concept.
Right.
Okay. Two things I have to say.
Okay.
First one is, do you know that Dolly Parton?
Short show, right?
This is
Short show.
This week is
with us.
our
And you get
part.
to see the old team.
Right. You're going to see the old Tink in an introduction
Team
from
1.0.
Right. You're going to see Tink as she introduces a show that we did, because we're taking the song this week is because we're talking about parent. I thought I would sing a song that I kind of sang to my mom many years ago. It's called Truth and Things.
Aww.
But two things I wanted to mention. The other one I don't remember, but this one I remember. Dolly Parton and her husband have been married for like 40 some odd years.
Good for her.
Yeah, I think that's great, for show business and stuff like that and all that nonsense.
I wonder how much of her is the real her that's still remaining after 40 years.
She was very frank about it. I watched Biography. That's why I saw it this morning.
She's had so many surgeries.
But she says she do it a little bit at a time. So it's not one big change.
Mm-hmm.
She'll do a little bit. And she says she does whatever she feels. That will look good and stuff like that. And I respect her for it. And so she's done really well. But it was an interesting story to watch. And made me feel good when she said they've been married for 40 years. Do you know what I mean? It means that it wasn't one of these show business relationships where then as soon as success came in, they broke up and la-di-da and all that other stuff that goes with it. Sorry me. So we have a limited time this week and stuff like that. So why don't we start with? Do you want to do it backwards and do the learning spot first, and then go to parent?
We can do whatever you want.
Oh.
It's your show.
Okay, no, it's our show.
I'm just the pretty in this. Someone's got to bring some beautification to the show so people want to watch.
Heaven forbid, we know that's the truth. That's it. Hello, Mackenzie, and all you. We have 14 subscribers now.
We do.
I'm not exactly sure whether I think Gregory Wilker is one, and Mackenzie is one, and I think Juan is one, but I don't know every single name. But I to all of you that do watch, whether you watch us on YouTube or on Manhattan Neighborhood Network up in New York City on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock, whenever you watch us, we're very happy to have you here. And we've tried to, that's the reason we went to Learning Spot and the Word of the Week is because it gave us a chance to upgrade just a little bit.
Be positive.
Yeah, be positive, because I want to try and be positive. Although I think, because Greg Gutfeld from The Five on Fox has now announced that he's running for president too. See, once I entered, the floodgates were open, and now anybody can run. So maybe in a couple of weeks we'll just review the 20 points and stuff like that.
We need to do that.
So, well, we'll be good. This week, the word of the week is parent. Okay, and there's a wide assortment, and next week we're going to talk about teacher. Yes, there is a difference.
That's something I know a lot about.
Yes, so that's what we're going to turn to you for that. So, but let's talk about parent.
Okay.
Okay, how about a generic description would be one who, and I don't necessarily know if it's tied up biologically. I think a parent is someone who raises a child or who is involved in the raising of a child, not just the birthing of the child, or is that out of line?
In my elementary school, they had this plaque that said the goal of this school is to teach each child to become a responsible, contributing member of society.
Okay.
And I really thought that phrase, responsible, contributing member of society, is really more of a parental role.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. I agree with that.
Yeah, that, because a parent needs to teach the rights and the wrongs, the good from the bad.
With the power of the authority of a parent.
Yeah, and that and to teach them how to behave appropriately, and just things like that. To love. The parent's job is to teach the emotional part
Okay.
to the child, I think
Right.
is one of the best ways to describe it, up until they get into school. You know,
Okay.
that once they're in school, there's other educational processes that take place with the teacher,
Right.
as there should be.
Right.
Because parents, you don't know everything. As
Right.
much as you want to think you do,
Right.
you don't.
Yeah, and you don't turn to
But-
the parents to teach them reading, writing, arithmetics, and
You know,
history
but
and
there's
all
an
that other stuff.
expectation. As a parent, you're going to raise your child to become a responsible, contributing member of society. They're going to know good from bad by the time they get into kindergarten.
Right.
They should know their
They should.
alphabet, and they
Really?
should know how
Wow.
to write it.
Really?
Yeah, that's
I
the
have no idea
expectation.
if I
By the
did.
time they get into kindergarten, they should be
Kindergarten.
able to write their name,
Right.
write the alphabet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I never.
And
thought.
some of them would even be better if they could sight read
Right.
words. You know, small. You know,
Right.
like the dog ran fast,
right.
things like that.
Well-
But once you get into the school, the teacher takes on a
different
a
role, which we will
But-
talk about next week.
But yeah, the parent I really see needs to do some of the emotional side. The teacher's going to take care of the
Educational
the
side.
educational, the books,
Right.
the history, the math, the science,
right,
the
right.
social studies, all the stuff that parents know about, but
Right.
you know,
Shouldn't have
you
to teach
can't-
their
yeah,
kids.
but I think I can't. If I had a child, you know, I could tell them how World War I and World War II started,
Right.
but I don't I
Right,
don't know
right.
much about it. I could
Right.
tell you about what I understand of September 11th,
Right.
but I know the history books are going to have a better
Right.
account of it
We
than
hope.
from. Well, they should.
They should.
You know, I could, as a math teacher, I could teach them math, but
Right.
I could barely do science. You know.
Right.
But there's an emotional component that needs to happen,
And that's what.
and that's where the parent comes in.
And that's really important because we've how many times have we said on the show that parenting does not come with a manual, and it's real easy to have the fun of creating that child, but it's not as easy to raise that child and to know how to raise that child. Some people, there's an old cliche, or I don't know what the word is, spare the rod and spoil the child. And some people will get all freaked out when you talk about that. But we're not talking about abusing the child. We're not talking about beating the child. We're talking about a smack on the rump, to help them learn.
I've spanked my niece and nephew
and I
in
think-
public before.
And I think it's important because, and that's what, I guess that would be the emotional side. The rights and the wrongs, how to act in public. You don't, the teacher shouldn't have to teach that. By the time the kid comes to school, right, even at that young age, he or she should have a rough idea of how to act around strangers, how to carry on. I mean, it's just, and I can't stress, and one of the things, I think I said this last week, please forgive me, but I'll say it again. You as parents, you who are parents, have to keep in mind that a lot of what you teach your children, you don't go out of your way to teach them. They're watching you the whole time.
They soak up every detail of your life.
Good and bad.
My thought is, if your child, if you're a parent, and at some point from elementary school to the time they leave for college, if your child doesn't look at you and say, "I hate you,"
Right.
then you're doing something wrong.
Okay.
Because if
Now
you're
expand on that.
if
Somebody
you're
wanna-
raising your child correctly,
Right. There.
there's going to be confrontation. You are not your child's friend.
Right.
You're their parent. And there is going to be
And
moments.
they need you to be a parent.
Yeah, and there is going to be. I remember telling my mother grounded me.
Right.
And I was so angry. I said, "I hate you."
Right.
I
Nowadays they call a lawyer.
and I didn't really hate her, but
Right.
I was so
That's how
angry.
you felt at that moment.
At the time, I just hated what had happened
Right.
to me, and the only way I could vocalize it was, "I hate you."
Right.
And it made my mom cry, and I didn't care, and I went up to my room and whatever.
Right.
But my thought is, like, I learned from that though.
Sure.
The discipline, the consequence of those actions was appropriate and proportionate.
Right.
And so my thought is, if your child doesn't say that at least once to you,
You haven't done something.
Then you haven't done something right, because
Or your child is a saint.
well, probably not.
But too many parents think they're. But the point is this: if you do your job, you cannot be afraid to discipline your child. You cannot be afraid to say no to your child. I watch children torture their parents almost every day. The parents want them to do something and then try to bribe them, or they try to do. Let me tell you something. Now, I realize that I'm old and we were raised differently, but I don't ever remember actually telling my mother no. Okay, especially as a child. Maybe when I went in those teen years, well, of course, I was a marvelous child anyway. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we didn't do stuff like that. We got that tap on the button. I think I probably got hit once as a kid, but I knew there were borders. I knew there were lines I could not cross. I knew that I had a responsibility. And the better you raise your child, the more time, and you want to know they're like kittens, the more time you spend with them when they're young, the less time you'll have to spend with them training them, teaching them, or having authority over them when they're older. And you might even be one of those parents that has a relationship even through the teen years when everything is all chemicals and biology and all. And that's got to be very tough too.
I'll tell you, my parents did an amazing job raising me.
Oh.
I am so grateful that I had the parental experience that I had.
Right.
Because I see children today, and
Uh-huh.
I see people my own age today, and I just look at them and I'm like, I am so lucky I had the parents that raised me the way that they did, because I would not want to be the hot mess that I see in front of me.
And
you know?
and another thing I would share with you: the better you raise your child, the more prepared that child is for the real world.
Oh,
And when you go out,
absolutely.
and the better they'll be in school, because they're more stable. You've helped them understand right and wrong, that there's a time and a place for different things. So when the next time, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to discipline your child. Don't be afraid to love your child. Kids love to be loved. Little girls love their dad. Little boys love their mom. And moms have that role. Fathers have that role. That's why I will never be convinced that a male and a female, this is my opinion, everybody has their own, a male and a female is the best set of parents to have, only because they bring certain genetic things to it, certain characteristics. I walk my dog places where Tina would never walk that dog.
I don't doubt that. I think having a male and a female, because of the chemical and biological differences,
Right.
the emotional differences, that provides a well-rounded
Yeah,
child.
I think so.
However,
Right.
I also think that doesn't mean that marriage should be limited
Oh, well,
to just
I'm not
those,
excluding
or parents
any
should be limited
option.
to that.
And
But
I think what's important is that they are surrounded, they are in love.
right.
That's the key, and then sometimes that's something that's
Uh-huh.
missing. If a mother and father don't like each other, whatever their sexes are, if they don't love each other
Right.
and show that love and express that love, the children lose the stability of having that
That's true.
environment.
And I'll tell you this, like I had a conversation with my boyfriend just last night about he was having a really rough day, and a lot of it went back to his childhood and stuff, and he is very resentful towards his parents, very
Yeah.
angry towards his family.
That's a shame.
And that's very sad. It made me very sad.
Right.
Because my mother
Right.
is my mother, more so than my father right now,
Right.
is a friend.
Right.
Almost. There are times where I was having a bad day a couple weeks ago. Well, that was
Excuse me?
probably because of the prednisone that they put me on for
Right.
that cough that I had last
Right,
week.
right.
Anyway, that prednisone made me crazy, and I cried for like 4 hours straight. I did. And well, anyway, I sent my mom a text message. I said, I need someone to talk to. Can I call you in 20 minutes? And she said, yeah. And I just, and then I just talked to my mom.
Right.
I didn't, and I told her, I said, I just need you to listen. I don't
Right.
need parental
That's right. I
advice or
don't need
anything.
feedback. I need to get it out.
I need someone to listen to me.
Right.
And after I finished my whole rant, and she just went, are you on prednisone? I said, I am. And she goes, stop taking it.
Oh, wow.
I said, okay. And at once it ran out of within 24 hours, I was back to normal. Anyway. So-
We're at 14. Should we blow off the learning spot for this week and just finish on parents? Or
Sure, I
okay.
think that might be
We can
best,
get away with it?
yeah.
Okay, so next week we'll have
We'll have
this
more
I have to
learning
change
spots.
all my paperwork again.
Oh, poor baby.
Okay, that's okay.
But
I'll be
anyway,
okay.
so the I think parenting is
It's important.
It's
It's,
so
incredibly important. I mean, when you
but
can't
parents,
understand it.
Parents are almost afraid to parent.
I know,
their
and that's
children
and
nowadays.
especially we're in this politically correct, and it's like
And
you
I-
can't say something about I was watching the Zimmerman trial a while back, and one of the witnesses was very inarticulate and everything else, and that has to go back to how you can't blame stuff like that on teachers. Teachers take something that exists already and try to give them information. Okay? This is what the teacher has to work with, and that's the parent's job. The parent's job is to take this clay and help it grow, not force it to grow, but help it to grow into something that can be taught.
And to just step a little into next week, nowadays with the lack of parenting that is going on, teachers have been taking on more of that role.
And the school is too, and I don't like it because
it makes the teacher's job
right.
more exhausting
Right.
and more scrutinized, because then the parents are complaining about, and it's part of me just wants to say to them, if you raised your child correctly,
Right.
I wouldn't have to fix your mistakes.
Right, and that's the other thing I don't like about
that's kind of what is happening in the classrooms now.
The food situation. Kids important to have meals together. You learn a lot during meals. You learn relationships and interaction and all that stuff. And that's why I don't like the schools providing meals, because it pulls the kids out of the house. And I realize, listen, there's arguments on every side.
They only provide, I think, breakfast and lunch.
Oh yeah, well then dinner should be spent at home.
Dinner should be spent at home. Breakfast they do. So I mean, let's just be realistic. The school that I used to work at,
Right.
the students started arriving at 6:30 in the morning. Classes started at 7. So
yeah, we only had lunch.
I don't know how awake some of those kids are to even eat breakfast.
Yeah, now the
before they
government's
have to get on the bus, because some buses were picking these kids up at 5:45.
And now
in
the
the
government says you can't have donuts and you can't have this, and the government's out of control.
Well,
but I'm not getting
I
into
agree
that.
with them on that too. Some of those kids don't need any more sugar,
Sugar?
because
Well.
that's all they eat at home. You know what?
And that's not
excuse
parenting.
was?
Parenting is not just taking the kids to McDonald's. And I have nothing wrong with McDonald's. There's a time and a place for everything. But there is times when you have to feed your kid good food. And I don't want Michelle Obama or anybody telling me what to do in my house. Okay, it's bad enough now that the NSA is watching this show. Think about that. Here I am,
Right,
and I got the
but
government watching Angel and the Wiz.
Let's be realistic.
Right.
You didn't know they weren't watching already? Anyway, so here.
No, they are watching.
Here,
That
I know
bothers
they are.
me.
They've been watching for years.
Okay,
They've
well,
been
I hope they
listening for
learned
years.
something.
Anyway,
Yes.
I've had students as a teacher. A student would not do their homework. I said, "Why didn't you do your homework?" Well, I was up playing video games all night.
Why do the parents allow that?
Right,
I have
and
a nephew,
now I want
same
you to
way.
think about this. Now, as a teenager, you're a teenage boy playing video games all night. What do you think you're eating? Doritos and
Right.
Snicker bars
Right,
and stuff,
right.
and then so I'm okay with the government coming in saying you can't give them these unhealthy foods
Right.
because the parents aren't providing the healthy foods at home. They have
Right.
to get those nutrients somehow.
But what I would share with you is that's the parents' responsibility,
It's the-
not the school's responsibility.
I agree with you. It's
They
the
have to
parents'
take responsibility. If you
responsibility.
want to have a child,
But
you
the
want to have the
parents
fun of
are
having a
doing it.
child, you have to accept the fact that child is your responsibility forever.
And
That
if you
never
don't want
ends.
to take the responsibility, it's called condoms and birth control.
That's right. Absolutely, it is.
and
now,
according to the Obamacare, ladies, you can get that birth control for free.
so with any luck, it'll all be gone soon, and the NFL doesn't even want to go near it. But we're not going into politics. Okay, now.
the NFL.
Yeah, the Obama wanted the NFL to sell Obamacare to young people because they're not interested in it, and the
I can't
NFL
keep
told
up-
them.
I can't keep up with your
Stugotz.
conspiracies now.
Okay, now listen, we only have about 30 seconds left, so let me just set this up. We talked about parents. This is a song called Truth in Things, and it talks about, really, it's about what I write my songs about. But I thought, what the heck, for those one or two of you who remember the old show before Tink came on board,
For
before
Tink 2.0.
Tink 2.0
Or
or
1.5.
Angel,
Angel.
before Angel took over, Tink was here. And you haven't seen her in a long time, and I thought maybe, because she probably watches the show once in a while, she might get a kick out of seeing it. I thought you might get a kick out of seeing it. So here is Truth and Things. We'll see you
Buy
next week.
America, do something good every day, and volunteer at your local animal shelter.
Ciao, Bella.
Oh. Hello, everybody. All right. You guys see this thing on my face? This has been stuck on my face since Wednesday. This has been so much fun, and now we really still get to do the cool part. So, welcome. My name is Laura, and I'm the proud producer of tonight's show. and I want to welcome you to Wizard World. For those of you who are new here, it's not just a place, it's a state of mind. It's a way of life that's based on loving and caring and giving, truly giving to your fellow man, and it's a wonderful place to be. And it says on the wall behind me, you probably can't see it, but give the world your best, and the best will come back to you. And that is the truth, and that's what I've learned from this environment. The best does come back to you. So everybody has their wands, right? All right, that looks so cool. It does. Now, we encourage you to use them through the show, but I see you spinning them, so you know they get a great reach. Watch out for the people beside you, they're hard plastic. And the people in front of you, and Tina, the people behind you. That's Miss Wizette in the front row, everybody.
I grew up in a time when music was about everything but the lyrics. It was about the show, or the lights, or the smoke, or the costume changes, or how many people were on stage, or the rhythm, or the beat. You know, my father was very frustrated with that pounding that came from my room all the time. So as I flipped through the Wiz's CD, I know you guys probably, a lot of you have CDs given to you by the Wiz. Well, I got one too, my first one, and I flipped through it. And I was waiting to hear a beat, or a rhythm, or something flashy that caught my attention, and I didn't. And so, really out of friendship, and knowing that I'd probably run into him again, I kept listening. And I realized that was the key. I hadn't been listening to the words. So I listened. And my first song, my first favorite song, by the way, is Sunshine Down the Line, that you're going to hear tonight. It emerged. So I kept listening. And I now have a lot of favorite Wiz songs. And to this day, Sunshine Down the Line is not only my favorite Wiz song, it's what Tina calls them, it's my favorite song. So I have a lot of favorites, and you're going to get to hear a lot of them tonight. He has a collection of over 200 songs, and it was a lot of fun to get to go through them and pick out the list for tonight. Now, the songs that we chose for tonight, excuse me, whew. Thanks, all right. The songs for tonight are a mix between songs on the 12-string guitar that he'll play for you and pre-recorded tracks. Now, personally, I like the guitar better. It's more of a Wiz performance. It's more personal, and we go up when he goes up and we go down when he goes down. They're never the same twice, but he likes the tracks. The first one is just the simplicity. Tonight's show is about words and music. There will be an underlying theme as he goes along, kind of describing to you how a song is born, or where he got his inspiration, or maybe just where he was when he wrote it. Now, the second reason is because of its description. It's words and music by the Wiz. The show is composed of all original music, as all of his shows are. He's been a singer and songwriter for over 40 years. 40 years is a really long time to somebody like me. Thank you. Now, anyway, it's really amazing to me to think that, you know, some of the songs you're going to hear tonight were being performed on the streets of New York over 10 years before I was born. Now, I pick on him a lot about his age. It's an easy button to push, but that's not why I bring it up. I make the point because even though the songs are so much older than I am, they still have meaning to me.
Well, it's really nice for you to all come. For those of you who were here last time, I'm going to try not to knock the guitar out of tune right away. A lot of luck. And I'd like to also say, if I might, that it's, you know, it's really flattering that you people are here. I don't really know what to say. They said they ran out of wands. I'm sorry about that. And I'll try. Okay, now, for those of you that are new to this, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm going to try and sing and play some of the songs, and we'll take this trip together. It seems like a good place to begin. Is she here?
Yes.
Okay, this is for you. I used to have, well, those of you that believe know I still have the greatest mother that ever lived. Okay, her sister's here tonight. Okay.
This is a song I used to sing to these ladies 1,000 years ago. It tells you what my songs are about, and the song is called Truth and Things. I gotta finish my Ricola. Excuse me. And every mother in the audience. A tree is growing in the woods. A home is being built for someone. And when the child's being good, you can bet it's done for someone. And oh, the eyes say of truth and things. The sun comes out to greet the spring, and life begins anew again. A brand new mother greets her child, and the world stands up upon its head. And ugly eyes say of truth and things. A child lives and the star is shining. The someone's learned, and now someone is crying. A whistling wind that sounds like angels. It calls to someone, maybe me. A teardrop falls and floods the room. A single raindrop floods the sea. And of the eyes say of truth and things.
And sung by the Wizard.